Anime is known for having some of the greatest openings of all time. Digimon, Evangelion, One Piece. Not only do they have great music, but they also have great visuals. While a lot of people talk about music when it comes to tokusatsu themes, not too many point out that the visuals also have a lot of work put into them.
Which is why I'm here to help.
Exactly. There is so much more that goes into these openings than you think, right, KnightofSpear?
Yeah, take Gaim for example. The theme always opens, quite literally, with a zipper and ominous music.
I don't think there's any deep meaning behind the zipper, but I do think that the zipper is taking us to another world, much like the Helheim zippers in the show.
Off in the distance, we have our four main riders standing behind a fence with locks on it. I know that in France, that locks on a fence is supposed to be a symbol of love, but I'm pretty sure that's not what Toei was going for.
However, it does get me thinking, considering Michi's great block seat is in position with Kota, symbolizing a love triangle between Michi, Kota, and Mai.
Yeah, no.
You gotta admit, this shot of them behind the fence of lock seats and actual locks is pretty cool, but not as cool as the many weapons of the show slashing at the logo to reveal it.
But you know what else is cool? This close-up shot of Gaim.
Baron is also there. Actually, those are the main focus of this shot, with Gaim preparing for battle while Baron is stiff but also readying his lance. It's a good way to show the two's personalities as Kota tries to ready himself as best as he can, while Kaito is stern.
We then hear the first lyric. While the English is a little weird, I can't understand what they were trying to go for. You got it. Now move. Simple enough. We'll get back to that in a little bit. We also have a quick look at our rider armor next to some real-life Sengoku era armor.
Along with the armor, we hear chants of "Don't say no, just live more." This can go along with the weird English we heard earlier, but I feel like there's a bit more meaning behind this. Gaim's story deals with, in a word, maturity. The characters in Gaim don't just deal with the everyday life struggles of being young adults, but it also deals with having to cope with the loss of others and how you shouldn't say no, but rather, take your own path and just live more.
Which ties us into the next thing we see. Gaim points his sword straight at us as the camera cuts to show Kota in the reflection. This time, it's Kota that's stern, as he lowers his sword, not wanting to fight. Then a fence closes on Kota as he yells out to himself that's holding an orange lock seed. We can assume that the Kota holding the lock seed was the reflection from earlier, signifying that he's leaving his old self behind. It's pretty fitting, considering Kota does end up leaving his humanity behind in the end game.
I like the detail where the Kota behind the fence is surprised, while the Kota with the lock seat barely looks back and shows no emotion, as his old self is literally withering away. The lyrics also added more to the scene. It's survival. You gotta move. You're maturing. You may not like it, but you need to adapt and move on. The next lyric can have a double meaning, when life's in a warring state. The translation shows there's a new sentence, but I think it can be combined with the last one. It's survival. You gotta move when life's in a warring state. Once again, life can be in a state of war, but you need to grow up and move.
I think the term survival can mean multiple things. Of course, there's the obvious plot of surviving the Helheim Forest, but it doesn't have to be that dramatic. In the beginning, Kota just needs to survive everyday life as he tries to find a job. You know, maturing. You can even look at it in smaller ways in that Kota needs to survive the dance competition. He's not gonna die if he loses, obviously, but it's still something for him to look forward to. And like Marco said, warring state could mean a mental state of war, but again, it's not always that dramatic. Warring could just mean the dance stages, and more literally, it could mean a warring state between the Helheim Forest and the survival of the real world.
I personally love the next part where the lyrics say, "Who's got the strength to win?" Then it cuts to Kaito and his team. Throughout the show, Kaito talks about having more power than his opponent, so the lyric is very fitting. Not just for this reason, but because Kaito is one of the many writers that wants to quote-unquote win.
Now all the locks are open. Locks opening in the show mean either an armor is about to appear or an invis is summoned, both of which are used as tools of war and power.
These visuals of Kaito and Kota fighting in this reflection is absolutely beautiful. Even if you don't know much about Gaim, I'm sure you at least know that these two have an ongoing rivalry.
Instead of fighting their rider-suited forms below them, it shows Zangetsu stopping Mitsuzane from walking in by holding out his sword in front of him. I'm sure that Takatora wouldn't want him to fight. I mean, hell, he straight up expects Mitsuzane to be working hard at school and not be involved at all. It's also pretty cool how we don't see Takatora look at his brother when he does this, considering that he doesn't find out that Michi is a Kamen rider until later on in the show.
The following shots aren't all that important, they just look good.
However, I would like to point out the armor, since the one in the middle looks strikingly similar to Gaim's. This background also came with some of the figure arts, which I think is pretty great. Too bad I don't freaking have it.
Where will you find and how will you use the forbidden fruits of the lyrics as these scenes play? It's pretty much the main plot of the show, as a lot of characters have different ideas on how to obtain and what they want to use the fruit for.
Again, some of the following scenes aren't all that important, but I do like seeing Kota dance, since he rarely ever does that on the show. I also really like this clip here where Kota says hi to Mai while Kaito talks to the woman at the beginning in the reflection. It's an amazing foreshadowing that you may have missed.
These next lyrics are my favorite of the entire song. Your dreams and future may seem so far away. When you've got all you can out of life, that's when you can stop. To go off from earlier, each character has their own dreams and ambitions, so these lyrics push that even further. Some people, quite literally, stop everything when they've gotten everything they can, while others give up everything else just so they can stop.
As the opening ends, we get more shots of the riders and their armor. The music gets more inspirational as the lyrics tell you to not let life get you down and to keep your head held high. Then it tells you to follow the path that you believe in, just like the characters in the show.
Our penultimate shot is of Kota yelling as the Helheim vines close in on him. This is the clip where I have to say that it's completely up to you to interpret this one. Kota being overwhelmed by this Helheim crisis is easy to say, but there could be more to it since there are real locks instead of lock seats.
And our final shot is of Gaim on a horse. I like horses. The opening is actually extremely quick, so it might be kind of hard to catch some of the things if you don't pause it, but it's still nice to see all of the detail that went into it.
What we have said is just how we interpret it, but there's a lot more to see. Tell us what you think this OP means, or if it means anything at all. Remember to keep your head held high, and just live more.
Thanks for watching, and if you like Kamen Rider, which of course you do, be sure to check out my channel. I just made a video recently covering Kamen Rider Marika, and be sure to subscribe to Marcosatsu for more videos like this. Thanks for having me on, bro.